Are you serious?
He's got it in too. I'm going to walk to New York.
Let's go.
God.
Harry is walking to New York and buying me whatever I want. This is amazing.
I'm going to get so wet. Good. Very good guess. Oh, my God.
Okay,
so,
what is a chucker?
I
Please
can't
tell me.
believe chucker is like a period of play. It's like a quarter or a chucker. You don't have a set number. It's like how long you play. It's just a playing period.
Hello and welcome to Athlantic, the show where an American and a Brit take turns crossing the pond to learn about sport culture in the UK and the USA. I'm Adam Jordan, your resident American.
And I'm Harry Collins, your resident Brit. Adam, I want you to tell me, our patron saint I see on our run sheet is called Jerome Bettis. Can you tell me why you've written the bus next to his name?
Because Jerome Bettis, that was his nickname because he, in his playing days, was 5'11", 252 pounds. That man was a bowling ball. He's a running back, legendary running back, Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's an All-Pro multiple times as well. He is an absolute Steelers icon. If his number isn't retired, I imagine it will be. Nobody else is wearing 36. He is just like, he's known as the bus. He's an absolute legend. And again, like as the quasi Steelers fan that you are, he is, you should appreciate going back and watching some highlights of him. He was really, really good in college, played at Notre Dame, and was drafted, I think by the Los Angeles Rams, and was traded like 2 or 3 years later to Pittsburgh and played in Pittsburgh for about 10 years, a little more than 10 years. And yeah, like I said, won a Super Bowl, and is one of the best running backs in Steelers history, and was very fun to watch because he would just bowl people over. So it was pretty great.
I would like to at some point do an episode on like the uncertainty of the draft. How, I don't know where Jerome Bettis grew up or where he went to school, but you get drafted by a team and you just got to move across the country. I know it's the same, like transfer-wise in football, but it's always amazing watching like the draft evening, and they're sat at home or whatever, and they wait for the phone call, or they're in the auditorium where it happens, and they've got like the shirt and the hat. And then boom, hey, your home is now Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Like, oh, God, I just left Florida. What? No. No.
Yeah, truly. And especially like wherever they came from before. Like, I don't know how long Jerome Bettis played at Notre Dame, but he, and I honestly don't know where he grew up either. But like, yeah, even that might have been a change for him. So like going from there to South Bend, Indiana South Bend, Indiana to Pittsburgh isn't like that much of a wild culture shock, but still, to your point,
South Bend to LA.
Yeah, South Bend. Oh, yeah, true, because he went to LA.
You'd like for a place to live, LA, New York, Boston, Seattle, and places that I'd be like, I really want to go and like live there, but like, I don't really care about playing for the Jets. Like, in my career versus I get to live in New York. Where does it go? All right, the bus. That's a really good one. I'm gonna look up highlights of the bus. It's such an unflattering nickname. In a way that I think only American sports really pick these like G-rated but mean nicknames.
I don't know. I feel like we could go. We could maybe not nickname wise, but like I don't know. When you think about some of the like whenever you look up like British football chants, you always see like the most just absolute heinous, cruel things that people say. Like the who was it? Luis Suarez, your teeth are offside or something like that. Like there's a little bit of that everywhere. It just might take a different form.
True. We called David Beckham golden balls for 2.5 decades. So, right, I want us to move on to a game that we are very excited to play. We're going to do this instead of news because we decided the only bit of news that we really wanted to talk about was more football, and we talked all about football last week, and we're going to give it a little bit of a break because the World Cup is on the horizon. So 0 football chat this week. Instead, we're going to play our as yet untitled rulebook game. And the premise of this game is Adam and I have looked through the rule books of different sports, and we are going to give each other clues for which sport we are talking about only by using individual rules and clauses from the rule books themselves, which we are going to read verbatim. There are going to be 5 clues for each rule book, and we're going to come down in sort of levels of difficulty. So the first one's going to be quite obscure, and then we will, as it comes down, it should becomes more obvious, and whoever guesses the other player's rule book or sport the earliest wins. Now we haven't actually agreed on this. Do you want me to read all of my rules to you, or do you want to alternate? Like we both do level 5, both do.
I think we go one at a time. I think one of us is in the hot seat to guess, and then the other takes over.
Okay, perfect. Would you like to go first or second?
I think I would like to read first.
Okay, great, fine. Bring it on.
Here we go. All right.
I haven't spent this much time looking at such dry language than when I got my law degree. So this was a little bit of a throwback. Hit me with your most obscure clue from your mystery rule book, please.
All right, here we go. We got 5 for you. So your first rule comes from Section 3, Rule 9.3 of this rule book. And it says, jerseys must be tied down properly at all times.
Jerseys must be tied down properly at all times. 2 good clues there. Tied down? My immediate guess was something to do with cycling.
Good guess.
I'll say cycling.
Okay, good guess, but incorrect. Number 2, Section 6, Rule 52.1 states, slew footing is the act of a player using his leg or foot to knock or kick an opponent's feet from under him, or pushes an opponent's upper body backward with an arm or an elbow, and at the same time, with a forward motion of his leg, knocks or kicks the opponent's feet from under him, causing him to fall violently.
Slew footing. Ice hockey.
You have absolutely nailed it, Harry. On number 2. Very well done.
Oh, great.
I'm very impressed.
On the first clue, I was immediately between ice hockey and cycling. Slew footing.
Well,
very good.
Very
I
well
enjoyed
done.
that.
Okay.
Would you like to quickly rattle through your remaining ones? Yeah, go on.
Yes, I was going to say I would love to. Section 5, because the third one especially is my favorite. Section 5, rule number 31.11. If through misadventure or sickness, the referees and linespersons appointed are prevented from appearing, the league will make every attempt to find suitable replacement officials. Otherwise, the managers or coaches of the 2 clubs shall agree on referees and linespersons. If they are unable to agree, they shall appoint a player from each side who shall act as referee and linesperson.
That's cool. I really like that. That's really fun. So if every referee in the vicinity of the stadium has fallen ill, players get to referee. I'm sure that would be an impartial and well-organized game.
Totally. You're supposed to have you have one from each side. It's never gotten to that point, but there was a point, I think in the 80s, where like there was a really bad snowstorm before a game and the referees couldn't make it to the game in time. And so they had to invoke kind of the first part of the rule where like managers or coaches of the clubs had to like come to an agreement on some people that I think were nearby that were able to officiate the game for like the first period until the rest of the refs could get there. So anyway, interesting rule. Okay, 2 more for you. Section 6, Rule 46.6 states, no player may remove his helmet prior to engaging in a fight. If he should do so, he
Yep.
shall be assessed a 2-minute minor penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct. Helmets that come off in the course of and resulting from the altercation will not result in a penalty to the either player. And rule number 5 is from Section 5, rule number 31.3. One of the referees shall face off the puck to start each period. Linespersons are responsible for all other face-offs, including the start of the regular season overtime period. And if you didn't get it by that one, then I wouldn't have known what to tell you.
Yeah, I would have been in trouble. Okay, very good. So I got it on the second one. I'm going to give you your first rule book. If you get this on the second one, I'll walk to New York, and I'll buy you anything if you get this on the second one.
Whoa.
Okay. First clue. From Section 1, Rule 4, subsection G. The assistant scorer is responsible for preparing the scoreboard before the match and updating goals scored and chucker numbers during the match. They should have communication with the scorer if they are not sitting together.
Chucker numbers? Is that what you said?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
You are not going to have to wait long to find out what chuckers are, my friend.
The first one that comes to mind, and I know it's not this, is bowling.
Good guess. It's not bowling.
Okay.
You had nothing to work on there. Here's your second clue from Section 2, Rule 8b. Intervals between chuckers will be 3 minutes, with a 5-minute interval at half-time and before extra time. In games of 5 chuckers, the half-time interval will be after the third chucker. A bell shall be rung at the end of these intervals as a signal to the umpires to restart play.
I feel like the chuckers thing is just a real key here that I'm missing. Oh man, what should I
think
go
you
with
can
here?
I think you can infer what the chucker is from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
maybe.
I think the clue in that is actually at the end.
Okay. Yeah, the bell saying to restart play. I'm trying to think of like a sport that would do that. I feel like it's like some, I don't know. I'm going to guess polo.
Oh, he's nailed it.
Are you serious?
He's got it in too. I'm going to walk to New York.
Let's go. Harry is walking to New York and buying me whatever I want. This is amazing.
I'm going to get so wet. Good. Very good guess. Oh my God. Okay, so,
what is a chucker?
See, I
Please
can't
tell me.
believe chucker is like a period of play. It's like a quarter or a chucker. You don't have a set number. It's like how long you play. It's just a playing period. The third rule was the best. I think the truest clue from Section 1, Rule 1. The field of play is prepared. Is the prepared area bounded by the sideline and the back line. The measurements for the full field of play shall be 300 yards long and 200 yards wide. I thought that was where you maybe get it. But God, just to on the feeling, the essence of the culture for ringing a bell. I can't believe
I'm trying to think of like the most like pretentious sounding. Yeah, like what would that possibly be? Yeah, like I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of like noble Englishmen from like the 1700s.
God, you did so well there. Do you want to do another one?
Yeah, I want to know the other two rules.
Let's. Sorry, the other two rules.
Yeah.
This was your penultimate clue from Section 3, Rule 21. A player may not dismount without good reason, and if dismounted, may not hit the ball or interfere with the game.
I wonder what the good reasons are. What is a good reason to dismount?
If like your horse falls over. I would dismount immediately.
I don't know. You got to go down with you got to go down with the ship. I don't know.
Speaking of the horses, in your most obvious clue, Section 1, Rule 3b. A pony may not play if it is blind in one eye, has a contagious or infectious disease, or it is lame or showing signs of distress, amongst many, many other reasons.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I figured ponies were just exempt from the sport, period. Oh my gosh.
The whole rule book only refers to ponies and not horses. Doesn't say horse once. They are ponies, but I don't know what a pony is.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was I don't know where a pony becomes a horse and why you only use ponies for polo. But you absolutely smashed that.
So
I can't believe we both got it in 2.
For some context on Harry saying that he will buy me anything, and I am going to use this to your financial disadvantage. First of all, buy a plane ticket, come see me. Second of all, there was a time where like Harry, where you were walking around London and you were like, I'll bet you'll never guess the most insane thing that I just found in this store. And like you took a picture of it and it was like an F1 car. And then you went into another store and you were like, you'll never guess. It's happened twice. There's an F1 car that you can buy in this store.
There was a Selfridges had a McLaren, and then just like 2 doors down in some Puma shop, they just had an Aston Martin that was also for sale for like £700,000. God, I have to walk to New York. That's so embarrassing. I'm gonna drown. Since we both got it in 2, would you like to do another one and decide it?
Yeah, why not? Let's do it. Yeah. Let's
Okay.
go for it.
Would you like to lead again?
Yeah, let's do it. All right. Sport number 2. Okay, so the first rule I'm going to give you is from Rule 11b of this rule book, and it says simply, no equipment shall be left unattended anywhere.
No equipment shall be left unattended anywhere. Golf.
Incorrect, but honestly, when I was like reading this to myself and being like, what could it be? What would you picture? Felt like golf would be a good one. So good guess.
Yeah, like don't leave your bag somewhere stupid. That's why you have a caddy, right?
Yeah. Fair. Okay, number 2, Rule 4A, subsection 1. During the process of delivery, the players take stationary positions along the sidelines between the courtesy lines.
Between the courtesy lines? The process of delivery and the courtesy lines is so good. Lawn bowls.
Oh, that is a good guess, but it is incorrect.
Courtesy line.
We have passed the 2. We've passed the 2 question threshold, so we'll start to get a little bit more specific. Rule 12I, Figure 1 says if both teams are 30 minutes late or 20 minutes late in the case of mixed doubles, then the game is considered over and both teams take a loss. If one team must advance in the draw, then the draw shot challenge would decide. If no DSC is done, then a coin toss will decide.
Okay, so the clues there, mixed doubles. Why is tardiness, why is being late baked into the rules?
I also wonder why the time is different between mixed doubles and non-mixed doubles.
If you're playing non-mixed doubles, you get another 10 minutes to like doss about for. Okay, mixed doubles, equipment, and a courtesy line. Badminton.
Incorrect. We're on to rule number 4. Rule C3 subsection F states, players may not change their brush heads during a game unless the chief umpire grants them special permission. Penalty. If a change is made without permission, the team will forfeit the game.
Is it curling?
It is curling.
Brushes. So good.
Yeah.
Very good.
It's a fun one. And then the final one where, again, if you hadn't gotten it, would have been tough. Rule R2 subsection B states that each team uses a set of 8 stones having the same handle color and individually identified by visible markings. If a stone is damaged and becomes unsuitable for play, a replacement stone is used. If a replacement stone is not available, a stone previously delivered in the end is redelivered. So if you couldn't tell by the fact that stone is like 5 times in 3 sentences there, then yeah, would have been tough.
Okay, I think you should get this one faster than I got that one.
Okay.
Your most obscure clue 5, from Rule 2, subsection 12.1, a match shall consist of the best of any odd number of games.
Is it tennis?
It's not tennis.
Okay.
Your second clue, from Rule 2, subsection 2.3. The bottom of the net, along its whole length, shall be as close as possible to the playing surface, and at the ends of the net shall be attached to the supporting posts from top to bottom.
Is it... It feels like another racket sport. Is it pickleball?
It's not pickleball.
Okay.
That's a very good guess. Third clue, from Rule 2.4, Rule subsection 4, 5. The covering material shall extend up to but not beyond the limits of the blade, except that part nearest the handle gripped by the fingers that may be left uncovered or covered with any material.
What?
This includes a really good piece of just like pub trivia for a sports round. The blade has come up in so many pub quizzes I've done.
Blade? So I'll be honest, like the sports of like racquetball and squash and highlight all kind of run together for me. And I don't think any of them have nets. I think it's just the wall. But the blade screams like highlight to me. Because I'm going to go highlight.
It's such good reasoning. And I think it's not true. It's not the case.
Okay.
We might be on for a draw here. Highlight is a wonderful, wonderful guess. That's a sport I cannot pretend to understand, but every clue you've had so far, I think, has probably led there, which might be why I've chosen them. To draw it, the ball. This is Rule 2, subsection 3.3. The ball shall be made of plastic material and shall be white or orange. It is matte.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going the distance on this one.
The ball shall be made of plastic material. It shall be white or orange and is matte.
Is it table tennis?
It is table tennis.
Okay.
You were so close with tennis, but I couldn't give it to you.
No, you shouldn't have.
Oh,
wow! Little Marty Supreme
and then,
in
of
there.
Course, your final clue from Rule 2, subsection 6.1. Service shall start with the ball resting freely on the open palm of the server's stationary free hand.
Nice. Okay, so question: where does the blade and pub trivia come in? Like, why is that?
The blade is in table tennis. The racket is called a racket. It's not a paddle, and the racket has 2 parts: the handle and the blade. Whereas in tennis, you'd have like the face of the racket or the head of the racket. In table tennis, it's called the blade. Okay. And I've been caught out by that a million times because you hear blade and you think. The pub question's always like, in what sport do you hold a blade? And you think, ice hockey or ice skating or figure skating, because there's a blade on your feet, but you don't hold it. Anyway. It's crazy, isn't it? I think we're onto a winner with that game. We don't have, neither of us have won. We've tied both of those. And I didn't prepare a third one, so I guess we'll have to come back to that in a later episode. However, in this episode, I am desperate for us to have a real conversation about baseball. I want to get into some of the weeds that I've been a little bit curious about. And I really don't know much about the area of baseball that is not Major League Baseball. Now, I think baseball is probably one of, if not your favorite sport. And I'm really excited to understand sort of everything underneath Major League Baseball. And including, and we talked about this earlier on, in the when we were discussing it ahead of time, I asked if we could focus on professional baseball that wasn't Major League, and then you corrected me and said, actually, that's probably quite a narrow avenue. So I didn't know. Are we going to be talking about like semi-professional baseball as well in this sort of this breadth underneath the Major League Baseball league?
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of leagues out there. Like, yeah, semi pro is like a little bit of a, I don't know. That's a tough one to like define. Like, I'm sure there are
Sure.
multiple leagues out there that are like maybe semi professional, but there's a lot of like different strata to the baseball world, I suppose, that you could say when we're talking non-major league. So essentially on the professional side, we're talking like pure traditional baseball. We're not talking about, we talked about Banana Ball and the Savannah Bananas in our baseball, talking about them and the Globetrotters and like barnstorming sports. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about like traditional baseball in this sense. But outside of the minor league system, there are some independent leagues for sure. There's leagues like the Atlantic League, the Frontier League. I'm trying to remember if the Pioneer League is an independent league or not. I believe it is, but I could be wrong on that. Somebody will correct me if I am. But yeah, so there are a few independent leagues that actually now are a little bit less independent because they have partnerships with Major League Baseball. Some of them do. We can talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, it's a little bit. It's really just that when we're talking about non-minor league baseball tiers. However, they're like certainly minor league baseball is the biggest set of professional leagues that are not Major League Baseball. So certainly a lot to talk about there. And then otherwise, you're really looking at, unless you're talking about youth baseball or like, lower levels that are meant to, be more development style leagues. Then you're talking about college baseball. You're talking about collegiate summer leagues that are specifically only running from the end of the college baseball season until essentially until the end of summer. So there's a few different kind of avenues that we can go down, but they all have their roles. But yeah, certainly minor league baseball is kind of the cream of the crop when it comes to non-major league leagues.
So when we talk about minor league baseball, is that where we use the term like triple A, double A, and single A baseball? And what are they if they're not like battery types?
That's a great question. However, it's very funny. This is one of the things in our conversations that I always get a little bit of a kick out of, because every time we've talked about minor league baseball and you're wearing a minor league baseball jersey, just absolutely perfectly costumed today with the Durham Bulls jersey. You always refer to single A, double A, and treble A, which is just very funny because like it feels like another one of those slight language differences of like we would never say that. It's always triple A. So, but yes, that is exactly kind of the system we're talking about. So, minor league baseball has a very long history. There have been, since the National League and the American League and some of the other leagues before it were created, there have always been other professional leagues as well, right? Obviously not all the best players would go to these other leagues that will we'll refer to as major leagues, even though at the time they weren't necessarily thought of as that. But there were always all sorts of other professional leagues. Some of these started in the very early 1900s. Some of them started in the 1800s, and eventually some of them got absorbed into the minor league system. So what makes a team AAA, AA, single A, whatever? So again, the way that this was organized at the beginning and is that there were teams that were kind of that were labeled with letters based off of the size of the team, the size of the city it was in, roughly, and kind of the overall prestige of the team. So they used to be just A ball, B, C, D, and E ball. I don't think it went down to F, but there was certainly down to E level. So it was just kind of like that lettering system that lasted for a little while. And then at a certain point, some of those teams started to become affiliated with major league clubs. So teams in the American League or the National League. And essentially the team would pay, the major league team would pay a premium to the minor league team to say, hey, if we're essentially going to own the right to take your players into our major league teams when they're ready to go, when they've fully developed, or if we think that, we spy some talent, we've scouted someone that we really like, we'll eventually have the first right of refusal essentially to sign said player. And there wasn't it wasn't kind of this same long tail development where like somebody gets drafted and then they start at the bottom league and then go all the way up. It wasn't quite as robust as we think of it now. They weren't thought of as like these farm teams, these like feeder systems necessarily. It was just kind of like, hey, we might take one of your players one day for, in exchange for this fee. And then I would say like there was it was actually Branch Rickey was back when he worked for, I believe it was the St. Louis Cardinals. Branch Rickey, who you may know or remember that name because he was the general manager that was for the Brooklyn Dodgers that signed Jackie Robinson.
Oh my God. I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
He's played by Harrison Ford in 42.
Yeah.
It's a completely... We've talked about doing a film episode for ages, and I think it's on the cards later this year. 42 is an amazing film, but that Harrison Ford performance of what's his name?
Branch
Rickey. Mm-hmm. Crazy name, absolutely crazy name. It's so bizarre. We'll talk about it later on. But every time Harrison Ford is on screen, they clearly shot Harrison Ford in like 3 days, and they put Vaseline on the lens. And it's so like golden, and he's so like Messiah-esque. When immediately got sidetracked. It's such a good film, and Harrison Ford is so like distractingly odd in it. But yeah, all right, Branch Rickey, yes, continue. Sorry,
that's fair. No, but other than being known as the executive that signed Jackie Robinson to his first major league contract, Branch Rickey also essentially created the farm system as we know it. He created, this kind of this concept that affiliated minor league teams would be used as a development tool, as a way to not only have rights to players, but to strategically place players on teams that would help them kind of gradually develop and grow their skills over time. So again, all of this has led to the modern system, which has those different levels that we were talking about. Specifically, it's AAA at the highest level. Next level is AA. Then there are actually 2 levels of single A, known as high A and low A. There used to be more, but it doesn't matter. We don't need to get into it. So those 2 levels at kind of the single A level, and then all the way at the bottom, there's rookie ball, which is essentially extended spring training. All of the teams are based at their big league clubs' spring training sites. But anyway, all a very long way of saying, and I'm sure there may be more questions than answers on that, or a little bit more detail than maybe you need. But just to give context, of that's kind of how our system formed and where it all kind of sits today.
So I want to focus on how it looks today, because that's a good way of sort of unraveling how we get here. Does every one, and what we have 32 major league teams, is that right?
30.
Does every one of the 30 major league teams have an affiliate in AAA? Or
Yes.
do some of them have affiliates slightly further down?
So they'll all have their own AAA and AA affiliates. Not every team will have all of the lower levels. So you might not have both a high A and a low A team, or at least that's how it was before it was all reorganized about 5 years ago. And to be completely honest, I don't remember off the top of my head, and I didn't look it up specifically because there's so many teams involved.
Sure, yeah.
If that's still the case, because essentially Major League Baseball came in and plays a little bit of a heavier hand with the minor leagues now, but that's another story. But anyway, every team at those top levels, AAA and AA, will definitely have an affiliate club.
So if we use the Pirates for an example, they have a AAA affiliate and they have a AA affiliate, and
yes,
they will use those two teams differently to develop players at different stages of their career, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. So there's
okay.
So usually AAA is those are players that are, either right there and just knocking on the doorstep, or players that have been in the major leagues but maybe aren't quite good enough to stick around, but they're not bad enough that you're going to completely give up on them or let them go, or they just don't fit quite on your max roster, so they'll put them there to give them some playing time while they're, rather than just sitting up in the press box.
Are all of the players at these affiliates in the pipeline to move up to, in this case, the Pirates?
So, very good question. So, I would say, and kind of based on what I was just talking about, where you have kind of some of those guys that are in between, sometimes we call them actually quad A players. That's kind of the pejorative term for a player who's just not quite good enough to stick as a regular Major League Baseball player, but they're also too good for AAA.
Sure.
So there are definitely players that are more like journeymen. There are players who maybe at one point they were a more promising prospect that had real hopes to make it to the major leagues. But after 6 or 7, 8 years in the minor leagues, it's kind of become clear that maybe they hit their development ceiling. So in that sense, you're playing for other reasons. You're essentially playing for a job. It's what you do. You're not ready to retire and go get a quote unquote real job. There's a great quote, speaking of baseball movies. There's that quote, and I don't remember it verbatim, but essentially where Billy Beane talks about at some point in every person's life, every baseball player's life, they're told that they have to stop playing the kids game. And so there's certainly those kids that are essentially those are the prospects that are trying to, make their name, make it to the big leagues. But there's also a lot of those players. If you ever watch the movie Bull Durham, you'll see that basically surrounds a player who's a minor league legend, but he's playing to basically turn back the clock and not have to go out and join the real world like you and me and the rest of us.
So this is where I start to struggle to understand and marry what my understanding of the point of sport is and the structure of minor league baseball, because we've got a lot of people. And you used the term farm team earlier, because the affiliate team will drop their prospects into AAA or AA. And then those individual players seem to be motivated mostly by getting an opportunity to move up to the major league. So first question is, can people be called up and sent down at any time, or are there like windows, like in football we have transfer windows when you can make moves, you can't move outside of those windows. So number one, can they move freely at any time? And number two, when we're talking about like the integrity of sport and how everyone's like playing to win, obviously everyone wants to perform well to move up, but is there a worry that the motivations of the player are far more individual than when they get to the major leagues and everyone's kind of playing for the team? I know there are like personal records at stake, but if somebody's at the Durham Bulls, are they playing? That they are mostly playing to show their affiliate team that they need calling up, right? Not necessarily interested in making sure that the Bulls have team success. Is that ever like an issue, or is that part of the, like, is that part baked in? To like, is everyone just on the same page and we're okay with that?
No, that's a good question. I definitely would say it's more so like the latter. Like it's baked in, everybody's okay with it. It's kind of how the journey goes. And it's one of those things where it's kind of fun, and this works, it's in every sport in the US that has this, and essentially it's baseball and hockey. Basketball has this. There's like the NBA has a G League, has the G League, which is kind of their minor league. And then there's like overseas teams that folks will play for. And then in hockey, they have a couple levels of minor leagues as well. Women's sports don't really have, most of them don't really have fully developed minor league systems. But anyway, in baseball, what's interesting about the minor leagues is that sort of everybody within the entire organization, outside of like maybe the ownership, is trying to essentially play their way up to the parent club, or at least some big league club. Like everybody from the players, who obviously are trying to make their big league dreams come true, to the broadcasters, they're hoping that one of the 30 precious major league commentary jobs comes up, to the hitting coach, who's hoping that he or she can get called up as a full-time major league bench coach, or maybe a manager one day, to the people like me when I interned, not for a specifically affiliated minor league club, but actually for one of those college summer league teams that I was talking about. Although I did actually do a small internship with the Durham Bulls. Those were like, I was hoping one day to get up and go work for a big league team. I wasn't hoping to stick around with the Durham Bulls or the High Point Thomasville High Toms my whole life. God bless both of those teams. And the people that I was with there, but it's kind of one of like the fun and interesting things about it. And for a lot of the fan base, usually for those fans, they'll take some pride in seeing seeing somebody who spent some time in their small town or small city go on and play for a larger team. So yes, of course, the team is trying to be competitive, and there are championships to be won at those minor league levels. But it's sort of it's an understanding that everybody's kind of trying to move up and realize that dream. I will say I kind of want to throw it back to you as well on this too, because I feel like you could almost say the same thing for football or rugby or cricket over there, because even though there may not be affiliated teams and a parent club to kind of have a direct pipeline into, I feel like you could probably argue that the journeyman, or even the young hotshot prospect that's at insert club, let's say at Walton and Hersham FC, they're not hoping to they're not, obviously yes, they want to win promotion and help get their team up, but I don't think they're hoping to stay at that club forever. They're hoping to get noticed and picked up by a bigger fish.
So that's a good retort. I don't agree, principally because if we regrettably use football as an example, and I know we said we weren't going to do football this time. There are two routes for those players, and because we are in football in Europe, we have the open league system. The mobility is both for the player and the team. The mobility is available for both the player and the team. So, in order to play in the Premier League, you can either be signed by a Premier League team, or your team can ascend, and that, your level is realized by your contemporaries, and your level is appreciated and understood because you've earned it by going through the open league structure. What I'm really struggling to marry here is, if the open league structure, if minor league baseball is playing in a closed league structure and literally everyone is trying to leave, I don't understand, or I struggle to understand how close relationships are made between fans and their team. And apparently it's not just the players, but the managers and the individual coaches and even the commentators are sort of looking to move on. Now, there is a very real, you made a very good point that, there are absolutely, there are journeymen, and clubs are often used as a stepping stone in English football to move on to the next bit. But fortunately, because we're in that open league system, there's always a payback to the club where that player has left, because we have this open transfer system where you can sort of name your price, and obviously there's negotiation happened, and you should be able to, reinvest the money that you've got. What appears to be in this farm system is kind of like, have this player, they will improve at your team, and you get the benefit of that player sort of scoring points for you and things. So now, to flip it back to you, I want you to answer one of two questions. You want to answer both of them at some point. Number one, what are they playing for in the minor leagues? Do we have like national championships? Are they like more regional? Are we like what
the AAA?
If I'm a fan of the Bulls, what am I hoping that we win?
The Durham Bulls have actually fairly recently won a AAA national championship. Actually, I think they've won a couple in the past 10 years. But yeah, so there are, again, and like I said before, there are championships to be won. There is glory to be had, and some of the process with the minor leagues, some of the things, part of the development, it's not just seeing your individual skills flourish. It's also learning how to win together, especially if players are, and this is where you could argue absolutely, and I'm not here to argue whether, an open system would be better for, the minor leagues to the major leagues in terms of
I'm always
a structure. Of course you are. And it would be fun and interesting for sure. I mean, I think everybody would like to, would like to see something like that, just even if as just a thought exercise. Although, as a Pittsburgh Pirates fan, I don't get very far with the thought exercise. But no, it's learning how to win together is a big part of that development for a lot of teams. So going out and making a run in the postseason for the various leagues within AAA or AA is a real thing. And of course the players would rather be winning something bigger, and it doesn't mean as much for sure. Unequivocally, I will say it does not mean as much to win the championship in high A baseball as it does to move up to win the National League North championship to move up to the National League. It just doesn't, because it doesn't do anything for the team. However, it's, especially again for those towns, for those cities, for the fans, it does mean something. It's not nothing. It is real, there is real, true sport being played.
Right. And here's the thing. I got this Bulls jersey at the Bulls Stadium and watched it with two very close friends of both you and mine. And I loved it. We were there for hours and it was wonderful. And I loved we talked in stadiums 1 and 2. We talk about like the jewel box baseball parks. I feel like, and I would like you to correct me if I'm wrong, from the limited research I've seen, a lot of minor league baseball stadiums happen to be closer to the center of towns in that sort of, more community based stadiums that we're more familiar with in the majority of the UK. The second question that I'm going to force you to answer then, you've actually already started to touch on, and it's into what stakes or what relationships can the fans become attached to if their club, if their team seems to be a revolving door of future prospects. Now, as you said, like seeing a player that played really well for your team then go on and make it, I can fully understand the pride there, and being a fan of a football team that hasn't always been in the top tier. Like I always used to get a kick out of that, and now knowing that there are championships to play for, that's really cool. You mentioned at the beginning that some people are like trying to put off getting their big boy job, so you probably have older players in the minor leagues who do kind of stick around because they're good, but they're not good enough to move on, and they're happy in Durham or Greensboro, or insert any sort of smaller provincial town. But like, do you think without that stability, the community that we associate with the major leagues and with open league sport, do you think that's compromised at all?
So what's interesting is there's actually the lower levels of the minor league, the lower down you go. So the high A's, the low A's, the rookie ball, the more of a revolving door it is, because they actually have rules for how many players on your roster can have more than a certain number of years of experience, because the idea is to give younger players who've just been drafted more of a chance to develop and grow. So what's funny is, so in those smaller towns where the stadium's even smaller, the fan base is even smaller, you actually have more of a turnover that would make it even tougher to follow so closely. But that said, it's a few different things. So obviously, like you said, local pride. There's especially for teams that are in small cities or towns. It's a lot of times your only professional or your biggest professional sports outlet that is in your local community. So it's a nice way to literally wear the hat of your community, or wear the jersey of your community and wear it on your chest. So there's a little bit of that. Sometimes it's literally just that it's some of the best cheap entertainment around. If you notice watching minor league baseball, you'll see a lot of teams have crazy names. There's teams that are called the Flying Squirrels. There are teams called the Space Cowboys. There's teams called the Rubber Ducks. Like they're all moving in the direction of being a little bit kookier. And sometimes they'll even have like alternate nights where they'll be. There's one team that I forget what their regular name is, but they have every so often they'll have nights where they're called the Udder Tuggers. And it's like basically milk, like milk farmers. Yeah, it's a like dairy milk farmers. It's and like they're intentionally outlandish and weird because they're trying to lean into ways to get people in the door and get people just having some like good family fun. Like a lot of times, genuinely, that's it. I feel like I'm channeling my inner like promoter of a minor league team, but genuinely, a lot of these towns, that's the thing. It's the thing to do. It's cheap entertainment. The tickets are affordable. It's easy to watch. It's easy to just go casually. And baseball, of all the sports, you don't really have to get super attached to the players. You can kind of come in and out paying attention. Yeah,
that's
so
a really good point.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing where you're able to just kind of to be a casual fan but still feel a part of it. And then I will say my last thing, and then we can jump back into that conversation a little bit, is until very recently, like really only in the past 3-4 years, have the minor leagues been unionized and have the players gotten, been able to collectively bargain and truly get paid living wages and get housing guarantees and that kind of thing. A lot of minor league teams would have, and college summer teams still do this, and independent leagues will still do this. They'll have host families. So some of the fans will literally have a player living in their house with them, and that's, again, it's a good thing. It is unequivocally a good thing that we're paying these players more, and they're able to at least, even if they're not living super comfortably, they're at least able to live without too much assistance. You do lose that one specific connection point of where some people almost literally become part of your family.
Wow, yeah, fair. I want to roll it back to the affiliation between the major leagues and the minor leagues. Is there any sort of criteria or like general rules of thumb that follows which teams are affiliated with who, and or is that like a historical thing, just like hey, we're the Pirates, and we've always been in touch with the insert your minor leagues?
Actually, one of them is in a town.
Like change?
Yeah, no. So first of all, definitely changes. Teams switch affiliations all the time. It is not. I mean, some of them definitely have very long-standing relationships, but teams change affiliations. Teams will change what level they're at depending on like reorganization of leagues. Actually, in 2021, again, when MLB kind of stepped in and kind of clamped down on the minor leagues in their new kind of professional services agreement, for lack of a better term, where it's like a kind of league-wide agreement that sets the terms of how the majors and minors will conduct business with one another. Major League Baseball, for obvious reasons, has a ton more leverage in those negotiations. So they actually, in a way to make it more efficient for the clubs, for the major league club, the parent clubs, and better for Major League Baseball, and for the club development, for player development among the clubs, they actually kind of consolidated the minor leagues. Like I said, they got rid of a couple leagues. It ended up cutting about 40 teams from affiliated baseball, some of whom folded, some of whom went into other leagues. But again, for a lot of reasons, teams can change affiliations. Some of them, again, historic. So the Pirates have been with Indianapolis, I don't know how long, but for a good while. And then I was going to say before, one of the cities that you mentioned, Greensboro, the Greensboro Grasshoppers, are actually actually the high A affiliate of the Pirates. So those things, like I said, they change over time, but yeah, they'll still kind of stay within that minor league realm.
And Greensboro, North Carolina, you mean?
Yes.
And Indianapolis are both affiliates.
Yes. So yes, and that was another point that I forgot to mention. A lot of times, geography will play a role. Now, usually geography only plays a role. Yeah.
Exact next question. Yeah.
Usually geography only plays a role with the AAA team. You usually want your team to be at least within like a 2-hour flight to be able to, if somebody gets hurt at the big league level, you can get a AAA player like physically to the big league club as quickly as possible. So like Indianapolis is not that far from Pittsburgh. Durham actually is one of the ones that pushes it a little bit more. Kind of, again, it's a little bit closer to like that 2-hour flight range. They're affiliated with Tampa. But again, some of those will be like some of these teams will be pretty far away at the lower levels. But again, at the AAA and sometimes AA level, they try to keep it pretty geographically tight.
And that's literally a proximity thing. Like, we want our best prospects closer.
Yeah.
closer to us.
Or even just it's in some cases a warm body, like somebody who can go in and fill in and do so without completely embarrassing themselves or tanking the team for a night.
It's interesting that it doesn't, like, the climate doesn't seem to matter all that much. Like, obviously, the if you wanted players conditioned for,
Sure.
but I guess if you're Tampa, what they played until quite recently, they played indoors.
They actually
So,
they're
like,
still
that doesn't really...
they're back indoors this year. But yeah, I don't think there's not like minor league clubs out there playing indoors. So yeah, so I guess it's kind of just take your pick.
Wow. I feel like our NASCAR episode, I feel far more respect for minor league baseball than I did an hour and a half ago. There are still things that I will never fundamentally shake, like when we had our episode about NASCAR. Do you, as we sort of round this conversation to a close, do you personally get, because you are a fan of a major league team, and I imagine most fans of minor league teams are also fans of a major league,
Yeah.
because they're not in the same system. You can kind of afford to be a fan of two different, to be like,
Yeah, definitely.
supporting two different teams in two different countries in football. Do you, Adam Jordan, as a Pirates fan, do you support like a minor league team, perhaps one that's affiliated with the Pirates to kind of keep it in the family, or something else, like more
Yeah.
locally? Because also that's like it. If when you mentioned about community, like where you grew up, was there like a minor league team that you cared a little bit about, or do you, it is an extension of your major league fandom? Like compartmentalize this for me.
Yes, that's a good question. I feel like the answer will vary very, very much depending on who you ask.
Yeah, of course.
I'll
Yeah.
say for like growing up, for me, I actually like I went to a handful of Bulls games when I was a kid because that was the closest minor league team. We actually did have the Carolina Mudcats back in the day, but that they were closer. But they were a lower level team. The Bulls were like the creme de la creme. But actually, just as far away from us was UNC's baseball team. So actually, I would go to more. I went to way more Carolina baseball games, the college
Cool.
level, than I did minor league games. That said, when I lived in Charlotte, I definitely went to a decent number of Charlotte Knights games. I wouldn't call myself a Knights fan, but I enjoyed going out. I haven't been yet, but I definitely plan to go to some Brooklyn Cyclones games because they're close by. So I think a
Do they
lot of
play
it,
it? Do they play at Coney Island?
they do.
That's so cool. That's
It is.
sick.
Yeah, they're named after the roller coaster called the
The rolling,
Cyclone.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so like I would definitely go and watch them and like be a fan of it. But I would say most people probably don't tie their fandom as much to their like if as much to their major league club. Like I don't care if Indianapolis or Altoona or Greensboro or Bradenton does well. I really don't. I just care that the players are developing well. But yeah, like if again you're living somewhere where like that's your local team, yeah, I think you're definitely a fan
Yeah.
of it, regardless of what MLB team you're partial to.
Amazing. I'm afraid I've just heard the whistle for the 2 minute warning, but I've very much enjoyed learning more about and developing this stronger understanding and appreciation for minor league baseball. It's such a, and you mentioned it happens in other sports. It's such a an interesting kind of consequence of a completely different system.
Yeah.
And we've talked at length about the American and European systems. Now, unfortunately, my 2 minute warning question for you this week, Adam, has nothing to do with minor league anything. My question to you is: in your personal sporting career, in whatever sports you have played and you are good at or you are bad at, I want to know, what do you think is your highest or your best personal sporting statistic? you obviously have to preface it with what sport,
Yeah.
and then what you think you are good at in that sport.
A couple things come to mind. I would say since I've started playing slow pitch softball, which I have for about 5 years now, I would say I've become a pretty good slow pitch softball hitter. It's not that hard.
Can you tell English listeners what slow pitch softball is, please?
Great question. It's essentially baseball, but shrunken down onto a smaller size field, and instead of playing, real fast pitch softball, like there aren't really many men that play it, but yes, that underhand, that windmill action
Crazy.
that is like incredible to hit, and anytime that you get a chance to watch high level fast pitch softball do, because it is incredible. You essentially play where somebody lobs it into the plate and you just like tee off and try to hit it. There is some nuance to it. Like, it's not quite as easy as it sounds, but in a lot of ways it is as easy as it sounds. So I would say my batting average has probably been pretty good overall. When I go to play again on Saturday, I'll go 0 for 3 or something like that. But I would say either that, or when I was playing street hockey, which is essentially just like ball hockey on a basketball court or a tennis court, I was a pretty good goalie. My save percentage was probably pretty high. Like, I would say it was, I'd say it was like in the 8, and somewhere in the 800s, which, like, for that level, probably pretty good.
Ace. All right, that's a good answer.
Yeah. What about you?
I think I played a lot of tennis as a kid. I was never very good, and they made me a coach before they ever put me into like competitive games, which is a shame.
That's how you know.
I know, it's so embarrassing when you're coaching like people your age and you're like, oh, they're all better than me. There's a reason I'm not going to these games. Mine would probably be football. I've always been a defender. And I think only in the last couple of years have I like found my level. And honestly, I've realized that the thing that I do best is just get in the way. I'm a good like last line of defense before the goalie, body in the way. Like, I channel Lewis Dunk, my centre back hero. And
you're a goalie's best friend, essentially.
I like understanding when the shot is coming, where the shot is going, and like how to get a piece of any part of my body that is legal to play in front of the ball. I'm all right at. I'm bearing in mind I've played football for probably 23 years of my life. I'm not good at it, but I am quite good at just like being in the way, and that occasionally is. I score the occasional goal, but I'm not. I'm a poor dribbler, but like defensively, I'll just like. I never worry about getting hit, and I think I've only just started to leverage that fearlessness. I've started so I'll like run towards the shot.
Love that.
And like cop it wherever.
I love that. You and I have played soccer together. You saw I have very little skill at it. I would occasionally do something that was along the lines of a blind squirrel finding a nut. But we have yet to play baseball or softball together. We've played catch, but I think the next time, whenever you come to New York, you're gonna have to sub in on my softball team. We're gonna make that happen.
Where like those fundamental skills you get from playing softball or cricket like overlap, because like fielding, the principles of fielding in either cricket or softball must be fundamentally similar.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
And know where to throw it based on where the opposition is literally on the pitch.
Yeah. Catch
the ball and know where to throw it to. The difference is in softball, you've got like 3 more places that you could throw it.
Right.
Whereas at cricket, it's either end of the wicket.
Yeah,
I would very much like to give it a go.
Yeah, and I likewise would love to play cricket sometime when I'm over there. I really, really want to give it a go. But anyway, all that said, that is the final whistle. So thank you everybody for watching and listening to this episode on Spotify and YouTube. If you're not already subscribed or following us on social media or on the aforementioned Spotify and YouTube platforms, please do so. Please leave a comment. Please leave a like, a rating, review, whatever it's called based on your platform of choice. And please do send in submissions for the name of our rulebook game. We had a lot of fun with it, and I think I speak for Harry as well when I say that we're going to want to continue that one going forward for at least a little bit. So again, please subscribe on all of those platforms. And as always, a special thanks to producer Luke for our logo, and we'll see you next time.